Hello everyone and welcome back to Killershrewfan's Killer Toy Reviews. Today it is time for a video that is long overdue. It's time for another collection tour. It's been a hot minute since I've done this, but the timing feels right for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, got a ton of new subscribers as of late. Thank you so much for that. And I wanted to go ahead and introduce any newcomers to my collection. And second of all, at the time of this recording, I am anticipating some renovations that will be happening soon. So it is with great regret that I say a lot of this collection, basically all of it, is gonna have to be going into storage. So I figured this would be a good way to sort of document where everything was so that when the time comes to eventually take them out, I am able to do so and know where everything is supposed to go. I mean, whether or not everything winds up coming out of storage, I can't say for sure. I mean, this might also be an opportunity for me to kind of, take stock of where I'm at and maybe refocus my priorities. But for the time being, we're not going to think about any of that heavy stuff. We're just going to enjoy looking at some dinosaurs. So here we go. It's Killershrewfan's Killer Toy Reviews, and this is my dinosaur collection. So the first area of interest that I want to talk about is the sort of higher-end, scientifically accurate dinosaurs in my collection. Now, as you can see on this shelf, it's largely populated by PNSO, but we do have some other companies peeking out here and there. For example, the Vitae Giganotosaurus, Majungasaurus, and Chelantosaurus are on this shelf, as well as the Eofauna Giganotosaurus and Dino Hazard Irritator. I believe, about everything else is PNSO, and I do my best to kind of separate these by groups. I don't know if that's the right word that I'm looking for, but you get the idea. We got some Spinosaurs, then we got the Hadrosaurs and Ceratopsians kind of running along the top, and to the right there, we've got Tyrannosaurs on that one box there, and then along the bottom we have Ankylosaurs and, Carnotaurus, I guess? Is that the right terminology? And then of course in the back there we've got the massive Ceratosaurus Nick, a gorgeous, glorious figure, and one of my all-time favorites from PNSO. Next door to the scientific model shelf, we've got my Sauropod Shelf, and this is just kind of a grab bag of any long neck boys that I have in my collection. Everything from Nanmu to PNSO to W-Dragon, and even, of course, the Bat-Tat Diplodocus is here. These aren't all my sauropods, they're just some of the biggest, best ones in my collection. Some noteworthy examples include the massive PNSO Huanga Titan, the beautiful W-Dragon Giraffa Titan, the amazing Eofauna Atlasaurus, seriously, still their best in my book, and then of course the holy grail for a lot of people and perhaps the crowning jewel of my collection, the Bat-Tat Diplodocus. Some smaller offerings are from PNSO and GR Toys, the Dicraeosaurus there, and we have also got the absolute joke of an apology figure from Nanmu, that little clear resin Brachiosaurus they sent as an apology for their rearing Brach disaster. And ironically enough, mine showed up with the tip of its tail broken off. So, that really smoothed it over for me. But anyway, it's on the shelf. Might as well display it somewhere. Right below that shelf, we get into the Carnegie and Safari portion of my collection. This is kind of a grab bag shelf. It's primarily Carnegie, but I've had to sneak a couple of Safari figures on there that won't fit on the shelf below, including the Camarasaurus and Amargasaurus, but I believe everything else is a Carnegie offering figure. The Diplodocus, Miragaia, Oviraptor pair, Concavenator, Carnotaurus Duo, Brachiosaurus, which for some reason is going for like buku bucks right now. I don't get it. And then of course the Carnegie Camarasaurus is back there as well, among others. Also on this shelf, I've got the 3D printed Ankylosaurus that was gifted to me a while back, and one of the Homalocephali. The rest are up on the base of the Dicraeosaurus from GR Toys. I know they don't go together, but I just love the look of those little guys on the base. Now the shelf below is pure Safari LTD goodness. It's not a complete shelf by any means. I don't have everything Safari has done, but it's all of my personal favorites that I've acquired and kept over the years. I've also got some rare gems on this shelf, most notably the two Safari Ltd Scutosaurus. Everything else, I believe, is fairly recent, fairly acquirable, but all gorgeous. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't fit all of the safari figures on that little shelf up there. I do have a few strays wandering around on the lip of the shelf below it, including the Nigersaurus, Parasaurolophus, and Dinosaurs, and then also got a spare Carnegie Diplodocus running around down here. The Postosuchus is on this shelf as well. It's up on the books. I'm sorry I'm not giving you a clear look at it, but just know that it is there. And while we're down here on the ground, let's point out this stack of Mattel figures I've got going on over here. This is mostly Dominion stuff. There's some Legacy Collection stuff here, as well as a Camp Cretaceous or Dino Breakout, whatever it was, Ceratosaurus. But it's all just stacked new in-box items that I don't know what to do with just yet. I'm primarily a mint-in-box collector with this Mattel stuff. Very few of them do I actually purchase to open, which is why I don't do a lot of reviews of the figures. But for the time being, these ones are staying in their boxes, and I've just kind of stacked them up here until I figure out what I want to do with them. And the answer now appears to be put them in storage, which is kind of disheartening, but I just like the look of these guys in their boxes. When you take them out, they're just not quite as flashy to me. Sorry. The only other thing of note down here, it's kind of buried, but you can see kind of poking through behind the figures. I do have the Reebok Jurassic Park Jungle Explorer shoes. Haven't really busted them out, I will admit. I got them for like cheap on the aftermarket, and I'm like, I'm gonna wear the heck out of these things, and then I just haven't. It's just the collector in me. It's just like, oh, limited time shoes with the Jurassic Park logo. I'm all over that. Now what do I do with them? Oh God, I have no self-control. Then to the left of that safari shelf, I do have some other Jurassic World stuff. It's primarily the Dino Escape stuff. We've got Brooklyn and the Monolophosaurus, the Yanchuanosaurus, and then Ben and Bumpy. Next to that, I have a couple more items from Jurassic World stacked in front of a Brachiosaurus new in box and a Patasaurus new in box, and then I'm also using the top of that to house some spare PNSO and other miscellaneous objects. And yes, I have a couple of Halloween masks around. Yeah, that's another thing that had younger Killershrewfan's interest that he still has. Anyway, on the top of the box, you can see I've got the old PNSO Wilson model and Doyle. Not the best figures. They've kind of aged like milk, but I will admit I am a bit of a sucker for the paint jobs on both. Plus, they come with bases, so they do feel a bit more premium than a lot of PNSO's recent work. So I guess that's why I've held on to them. I've also got the Infant Rex, Infant Sinoceratops, and then the Favorite Co. Baryonyx perched up here. All right, and then past the Jurassic stuff on the right side, I have my Super Colossal collection. We got the Battle Damage T-Rex, the Indominus Rex, Blue, and the Carnotaurus, which is my personal favorite. I've also got the larger 3 3/4 inch scale figures here, the Apatosaurus and Brachiosaurus. And of course, I've got in-box versions of both elsewhere in the collection, as well as another in-box of the Super Colossal Rex, because I don't have any self-control, apparently. But above that, oh boy, this is gonna be a hard shelf to talk about. This is my Papo collection, and then I've also got the Chronicle Collectibles Infant Raptor Trio in there. I need to find a better place to display that, I really do. It's more of a centerpiece than what it's serving here, but for the time being, I've just got it stacked in there. And, you know, it kind of makes sense. Papo was a big sort of unofficial Jurassic Park brand for a while there, and so why not put an official Jurassic Park artifact in with them? But yeah, I would love to just have a coffee table or something dedicated solely to that trio. But anyway, Papo, let's talk about Papo. Papo is what got me started in this hobby. It all started with this little Carnotaurus here, and it just bloomed out of control into what you're all seeing now. So from this little figure to everything you see now, it all started with Papo. And that's why I have gone out of my way to collect almost every single mold that they have put out. Not necessarily all the repaints, but when it comes to dinosaur molds, I do try to get all of their originals. This is the first year I will not be doing that. I just cannot abide the Papo Protoceratops. So this is the first year that I'm not picking up anything from Papo. Well, I guess there was also last year, but I kind of forgot last year even existed, and it feels like Papo did too. I mean, is what the Megalodon and the Smilodon cub, there was nothing from my collection anyway. This year they finally come back with a few dinosaur sculpts, and I don't want them. One's a repaint, one is god-awful. And that sucks, because look at this shelf. Papo was the driving force of my collection, of this hobby for me. The detail, the paintwork, everything about their sculpts was the top of the line for me. And just as the years have gone on and more competition has been introduced and my tastes have shifted, they've just fallen out of vogue for me, and it is bittersweet. Obviously, I'm collecting a lot of great stuff, but the company that got me started, it's sad to see them have fallen so far. So this is my Papo shelf, and this is probably how my Papo shelf is going to stay. I'm not going to be picking up any new additions. I'm probably not going to go through any effort of tracking down anything that I haven't already gotten from them. So yeah, and you know, I mean, I'm happy with this. I feel like I've got a lot of great things on this shelf. I've got 3 of the original brown raptors, which are not easy to come by these days. They're swan song, essentially. They're limited edition, quote unquote, Spinosaurus. A couple of the green squatting rexes, the infant rexes, the dimorphodon. All of those rarities are here and accounted for, and I'm proud to say that at least. But yeah, it is kind of sad to know that that's it for Papo. That's a wrap. I'm not doing any more from this company. And yeah, it's bittersweet. At least I've got this shelf as a testament to their glory days. All right, and then we come to the headboard, which is kind of just a mishmash of all sorts of different figures from different brands. You can see in the top corner there, I've stacked the Ancestors Edmontosaurus and GR Toys Quetzalcoatlus up on a box. In front of that, I have my other W Dragon figures, the Giganotosaurus, Spinosaurus, Allosaurus, and of course I had to put the Rebor Rex carcass at the feet of the Giga and Spino. Up on top, I've got some Collecta Ceratopsians, another Vitae figure, the Sinraptor. Then we've got a couple of the few Toyway figures I have. We've got the Utah Raptor, Postasuchus. You can see some Eofauna figures up top, the 2 Trikes, the new Diplodocus. And then over to the left side, I've got the Favorite Co Concavinator, and then the beautiful PNSO Chungkingosaurus, Microraptor up top. I've got the X Plus Albertosaurus, and then another Collecta Ceratopsian, that's the Xenoceratops. And then we get into my most recent obsession, that being the beasts of the Mesozoic Ceratopsians. On the headboard there, I've just got the Avaceratops and Sinoceratops, but on the bookshelf next to the bed, this is where I keep a majority of my Beast of the Mesozoic Ceratopsians. These are kind of my favorites of the group. They're not all my favorites, I should say, but obviously the best ones are here, and then whatever else could fit is also here. I think I have all of them except the Kickstarter exclusive Monoclonius, but everything else I think I went ahead and picked up from that line. I'm kind of debating whether or not I'm going to get the fan choice stuff, the 1/18th scale Psittacosaurus and Protoceratops figures, but there's a good chance that I will, because like I said, I don't have any self-control and I absolutely love this line. I mean, just look at all this color, look at all those beautiful heads. Oh, it's hard for me not to be absolutely head over heels in love with these Ceratopsians. They are gorgeous works of art. I absolutely love playing with them, posing them. The flashy colors originally I hated. They have come to grow on me, and a few of these are actually like favorite representations of the species in question in my collection. But yeah, that's what I got for my Beast of the Mesozoic Ceratopsians in this section of my collection. If we jump next door, we'll see the Rebor portion of my collection. And yeah, Is this all Rebor? Yep, it's all Rebor stuff. So we've got the Dissected Compy Oddity, the King T-Rex on the Fallen Queen, Baby Hazelnut, the Fetus Oddity Collection, Tyrannosaurus Rex Embryo, the Stegosaurus Trio and Infant up top, the Acrocanthosaurus Hercules, Tenontosaurus, and Cerberus Clan set. Then we've got some of their older figures, which are more of a novelty to me, I will admit. They're not great by any means. Like, scientifically speaking, sculpturally speaking, paint job speaking, Rebor has come an impressively long way from these three figures over here in the corner, but I like them. It's like a timeline kind of thing. It's like a history thing. It's like I get to have their most recent and their humble beginnings on the same shelf, and that's fun for me. And as you can see, I've got the three oldies, the Eutyrannus, Carnotaurus, and Ceratosaurus, positioned next to their recent Skull Oddity collection, which I think is just one of Rebor's crowning achievements in recent years. It's just fun to have that and that kind of juxtaposed against one another, and to also just have a dinosaur and its skull displayed next to one another. So yeah, Rebor was a brand that I was originally just not too into, but I've come to appreciate them over the years, and I think in recent months they have been more than proving themselves as worthy additions to the collection. Alright, and then down beneath the Rebor section we've got more Jurassic World stuff. You can see another in-box Brach back there, as well as the dual pack Dimorphodon and Dilophosaurus, and then another rarity in my collection. I don't really remember how I came into this, but it is a new in-box Utahraptor from the original days of Kenner. Yeah, like I said, I can't really remember how I came into that, but it's definitely another thing that I wish I could display as more of a centerpiece, and maybe once I get everything out of storage, that's what I'll do. I'll just find a new place for these things. I'll keep some stuff in storage so there's more space to give areas of recognition to the more important assets of my collection. But yeah, so there's that little jewel, and then I've got the super hard to come by, what were they called? The Destructosaur sets, and then the Legacy Story Pack with Alan Grant and the Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor. I originally had all three of the Legacy sets, the one with Muldoon and the Crouching Raptor, and the one with Ian and the Jumping Raptor, but I axed the other two for space and funds. They just didn't have anything new to the collection. It was just a repack of figures. This, on the other hand, was something new, so I decided to keep it. And then, yeah, the Destructosaurus figures, those are just there. I might not hold on to them forever, but there was a point where I was obsessed with finding like everything Mattel put out, and that flame has kind of puttered out, but as you can see, not enough. And then we get to another super cool area of my collection. One could argue this is the most impressive section, even given its humble size in the grand scheme of things. This is my Batat shelf. So this is basically everything, I believe it's every mold from Batat, except the miniature T-Rex and then the sloping-tailed Ceratosaurus variant, but everything else is accounted for. I have all of the minis, I have all of the full-size models and the variants they're in, like I have all three of the Rexes, I have all three of the Dilos, I have a couple of Triceratops. Again, I don't know how I get doubles of these, but somehow I manage. But yeah, I'm really happy to be able to say that I have most of these figures because, like I say in a lot of my reviews when I use them as comparisons, they are yet to be topped in many regards. Yeah, that's this area of the collection. Oh, and as a little sidebar, almost forgot, the only other new in-box Kenner item I have, that's going to be the Lycenops up there. Not quite as cool as the Utahraptor, but, you know, cool enough to have out and on display. I kind of tend to forget that I have it because it's just kind of tucked up above these Batats, which is usually where my focus is whenever I'm staring at this shelf, which I am more than wont to do. And now for possibly my personal favorite area of my collection. It's obviously not my most impressive, but it's my personal favorite. This is my desk. This is my movie display area. So basically everything Nanmu goes here. Anything from Rebor that fits that, you know, the unofficial movie releases like their V-Rex or their Carnotaurus Rex. A few of their Raptors are here as well. But the rest of it is all Nanmu. And what I love about this desk, I was like very particular when I was shopping for a desk. I wanted it to have tiers to it of some sort. I wanted to be able to display multiple levels of dinosaurs. So you can see all of the standing stuff essentially is up top there. And I've taken up every speck of space that I possibly can. Oh, forgot the Reborn Dimorphodon is up there too. I guess that's not technically a movie release, but yeah, I get whatever. It fits over there. So it was in Jurassic World. It works. But anywho, up top I have all that stuff, and then running along the bottom I have the smaller items, or the reclining figures. So you can see I've got the Baryonyx down here, and then of course the mate is with her as well. And then I've got the two smaller Ceratosaurus figures, the Mosasaurus, the Parasaurolophus corpse, the Triceratops, the sick Triceratops, one of Nanmu's best in my opinion. Rebor's Dilophosaurus pair are down here poking out, and then, oh yeah, in the corner, in the very corner, I have 2 out of 3 of their War Pig figures. I used to have the plain variant, the tan and brown one, but that one was also let go for Space and Funds a while back, and I just haven't bothered tracking it down. In fact, the only reason I have these 2 is because I was able to get them for cheap. War Pig never was my favorite from Rebor, but, you know, I still have the 2 because you might be detecting a theme here. I have no self-control. So yeah, that's my desk. This is where the magic happens. I like to sit here and just like, as I'm working, I'll just catch myself glancing up and just taking this in, because just a lot of great figures from Nanmu and Rebor have come into my collection over the years, and they probably do get the best treatment when it comes to display. Like, this is the most visually appealing display in my collection, I feel like, and the one that I have like the most time in front of viewing. Everything else just kind of gets crammed onto the shelf wherever space is available. So yeah, this kind of is like the most aesthetically pleasing area of my collection. Then at the edge of my desk, perched under my lamp, I do have the Rebor Mesozoic Rhapsody, or is this Californication? I don't really remember the proper name for this one anymore, but as a massive Ray Harryhausen fan, this figure was an absolute must for me, and it has wound up on my desk as part of the movie memorabilia section of my collection, so that's there. And then right next door we have another shelf with some more Nanmu figures that wouldn't fit on my desk. This is, of course, the Parasaurolophus Duo, the Nutcracker Soldiers, and then we do have more Rebor here as well. This is where I keep all of those hatchlings that they've done, the Triceratops, Stegosaurus, T-Rex, Baryonyx, and Velociraptor trio. And then I got a couple of walruses in there. That's my favorite extant animal. For anyone who wants some Killershrewfan trivia, his favorite extant animal is a walrus. So there you go. And then on the shelf next door, yes, there are even more shelves. We have the Nanmu Brachiosaurus trio. Yeah, anyone who follows me on social media probably knows that my rearing Brach showed up in pieces. I had to Humpty Dumpty the thing back together again. I think you can actually kind of tell if you in this video, you can kind of see where the break is. There's just a slight discoloration. I did my best, guys. I did my best to match the texture and the color when I repaired that thing, but it was a losing battle, and I just eventually had to call it and say this is as good as it is going to get. I'm still very glad to have it in my collection, but that is the moment where I started to have a bad taste in my mouth with Nanmu. I love their work, I really do, but all of it now comes with a pinch of salt for me. Anyway, it didn't stop me from picking up the other 2 Brachs that they put out, the other 2 color variants. I know they did one for Jurassic Park, another brown one, but I'm like, I've got the rearing one, I don't need just a brown standing one. So I got the gray one to represent the Jurassic World design, and then of course the green one for Jurassic Park 3. And I think the green one is actually the best of the bunch, but I like this display. I like having the rearing one in the center and then the other 2 kind of flanking it. At their feet, I have a couple more Beast of the Mesozoic figures, mostly ceratopsians that just wouldn't fit on the shelf. These are kind of the ones that I'm a bit lukewarm to. They're not bad. I don't dislike any of the Beast of the Mesozoic figures, but the paint jobs on these ones just aren't my favorite. So I kind of reserved that shelf next to my bed for the cream of the crop offerings, and then these ones are the ones that I'm like, yeah, I'm glad to have them. They're just not my favorite. I've also got a couple of the Balars, I think they're called. I'm really bad with Dromaeosaurs, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. I went and bought a ton of these Beasts of the Mesozoic Dromaeosaurs. I don't know if I remember their names, so you'll have to be a little lenient with me if I'm getting it wrong. But yeah, I got a couple of these ones. The first one I got showed up broken from Big Bad Toy Store. They kindly sent me another one, so I was able to kind of get them in this sort of fighting pose. I call them the dueling dragons, and they might be my favorite of the Beast of the Mesozoic Dromaeosaurs. On the bookshelf below, I've got some dinosaur literature there, and then we get into the rest of the Dromaeosaurs and the it haunts me still. The Beast of the Mesozoic Protoceratops as well, alongside the Velociraptor. We've also got the Pyroraptor on this shelf, and then the, oh God, don't ask me to pronounce that name. And then in the back there, I forget what this one is called. You'll have to forgive me. I just remember that it's the blue-footed booby-colored one. So, yeah. The shelf below, more Beasts of the Mesozoic Dromaeosaurs. The Sagan, I believe. The Dromaeosaurus, the Linhellraptor, a couple of Sauronitholestes, and then the Atrociraptor. Did I pick up the Atrociraptor just because our Dominion came out and I wanted an accurate representation? Yes. Do I love all of these Dromaeosaurs? Also, yes. I don't know if I like them quite as much as the Ceratopsians. They're not as fun or easy to pose or as distinct between one another to me, but I do still like them for what they are. Then on the very bottom shelf, kind of covering my Blu-ray collection there, we've got the sea monsters, some stuff from PNSO, the Carnotaurus, Leviathan. The only, I believe, prehistoric mammal in my collection is that Leviathan, so there's that for you. Then we've got the Mosasaurus, or excuse me, the two Tylosaurus figures. One from Carnegie, one from PNSO, and then the Adipodentatus. Up on top of those DVDs, you'll see a few more figures. One is the Helicoprion, and then the Toyway Ophthalmosaurus, and the beautiful Dunkleosteus from PNSO. I don't really usually collect sea monsters, but PNSO, man, I'm telling you, there's something about their work it's hard to ignore. Okay, and then we get to the Collecta section of my collection. I don't have a ton of Collecta figures. I had a few of them up on my headboard back there. The rest of them are all down here. But like I said, not really a lot to this part of the collection. You know, if I have it from Collecta, it's gotta be noteworthy. So that goes for the Edmontosaurus, the Carnotaurus, there's Styracosaurus, Enosaurus, one of my favorite ceratopsians, so of course. Bajadasaurus, sucker for Dicraeosaurs, and that's one of the coolest ones out there. Don't at me. And then, of course, their big pterosaurs are also must-haves for me. On the other side, got their Mamenchisaurus, their Iguanodon, and then the Edaphosaurus and Estamenasuchus. Up top, got their Dimorphodon, which I had at one point, got rid of, and then had to get again because I missed it. The Brontosaurus is here. The other side, we have the Camuisaurus and then another large pterosaur. Again, pterosaurs to me, like dromaeosaurs, not good with their names. So sorry that I'm not telling you the names of each of these. I can recognize the touchstone ones like a Pteranodon and Dimorphodon, but these other ones, all I know is they're big and beautiful. So do with that what you will. And then tucked back there, yes, I have another Papo limited edition Spinosaurus. This is the one I just kept new in box, and then I managed to snag another loose one for cheaper for my display. A few odds and ends to cover before we get to the closet section of my collection. Out here next to my review space, you'll see that I have got the Once and Future King Master Hunter, and then a second Reborn Carnotaurus Rex that I came into in an eBay lot that I gotta do something with. And then up top, I have the GR Toys Quetzalcoatlus, the unpainted variant, which is kind of useless to me. By the time I got mine, it was too late to paint for their competition, and I just haven't had time to do anything with it since, so it's just probably gonna be unpainted for the rest of its days. And then of course, we got Shrek and a few other books on paleontology up here as well. Next to that, the only bit of Jurassic World Dominion display that I was able to get my hands on, it's blue and beta, kind of just running up the wall there behind my review space. And speaking of Jurassic World displays, I've also got the Fallen Kingdom Barnes & Noble setup that they had when the Blu-ray released for that film. I've asked Target, I've asked Walmart, everyone always said, nope, can't do it. I go into Barnes & Noble, see this, I'm like, hey, can I have that when you're done? And they're like, sure, what's your number? And they called me when they were done with it, and I've had it ever since, and I don't foresee myself getting rid of it. I like to use it to kind of display my Jurassic World DVD collection, as well as some other just odds and ends memorabilia, like all the shaving cream from Barbasol is here. A bag of Doritos with blue on it, and then the Dr. Pepper cans with all the dinosaurs on them I've also got, because I'm a sucker for marketing, I guess, and you know, if it has a dinosaur on it, I'm gonna buy it. Then just a few other stragglers. We have the Rebor Killer Queen Duo over in front of the TV there, and not really dinosaur related, but there's the NECA amphibian man from The Shape of Water and the werewolf from American Werewolf in London. Yeah, I don't really collect a lot of NECA figures, but I love those movies, I love those creatures, and you know, if opportunities arise where I find these figures from movies that I love, I will go out of my way to pick them up. So if you're a NECA fan, there's that for you. Those are my two NECA figures. All right, and then for you Mattel fans, this is kind of the big section of my collection. This is the closet, and you know, whereas normal people might store clothing items in the shelves of their closet, I have just crammed every single loose Mattel figure that I can fit on these shelves, on the lower ones that is. So yeah, a little something from basically every line is in this area. You can see I've got the Raptor Squad, the Atrociraptors, the SDCC exclusive Ray Arnold and Dennis Nedry set, Amber Collection's in here. The Legacy Collection Ford Explorer's in here. I've also got a new in-box one somewhere. The Hammond Collection, you can see I've got the Rex, the Gallimimus, the Ceratosaurus, the Triceratops, the Baryonyx. The pair is also in here, tucked back there with the other Hadrosaurs. I originally had this kind of displayed by film. So like there was a section for Jurassic Park, there was a section for Jurassic Park The Lost World, there was a section for JP3, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion, but that got rearranged and now it's just kind of in a line from smallest to biggest, essentially. So you can see in the back, that's where I've got the big players like the Mosasaurus, the Indominus Rex, the Legacy Collection Spinosaurus. I've actually got a few of those in storage already. Therizinosaurus, one of the best things to come from the Dominion line. The Thrash and Throw T-Rex. I think that's actually my first Thrash and Throw. Like, that's one of the few things that I still have from my first day of hunting Mattel stuff. Well, and then of course the Carnotaurus there next to him. That is the very first Mattel Jurassic World figure I ever picked up. So that's my loose Jurassic World collection. Up top is my Kenner collection. So these are all of my original Kenner releases, as well as the human figures from Mattel. They weren't all fitting down with the dinosaurs, but yeah, you can see I've got stuff from The Lost World, I've got stuff from the original Jurassic toy line. I've even got some Hasbro stuff in there. The animatronic Spinosaurus doesn't work, and then the Allosaurus that David Silva did, I believe. And then, yeah, I've got that rare Demon Carno. What other weird things do I have up here? It's not all Kenner. I've also got, oh yeah, the Walking with Dinosaurs Ultimate Gorgons here. Got my Carnage Resaurus figures here. That Styracosaurus was actually from my childhood. I've got the Playmates V-Rex from the King Kong film toy line. I've also got Schleich up here. Don't have a lot of Schleich in my collection. They're kind of tucked away in the closet like some dirty little secret. Of course, I have all their Carnotaurus figures. I've also got the big Apatosaurus, the Torosaurus, that ridiculous Baryonyx, and then the Shunisaurus, I believe is what it is, in the bag still. So yeah, this corner of the top shelf is kind of a hodgepodge. You can see I've also got some Amber Collection figures up here tucked away. I've got my custom Atrociraptor, the original Jurassic Park Velociraptor, and of course the Dilophosaurus, which again, super rare. It's a shame because it's one of Mattel's best. I really wish more people were able to find that thing. So yeah, this corner is kind of just a grab bag, but the rest of the shelf is more classic JP or other movie toys. Oh, yeah, I've got another Mattel thing up here. It's the Carnotaurus from their Disney's dinosaur toy line. How's that for coming full circle? They were doing dinosaurs back in 2000, and then, you know, almost 2 decades later, they're doing Jurassic World. So that's fun. Oh, but the fun does not stop there. On the floor of the closet, against the walls of the closet, I've got some other new in-box Mattel stuff. I've got the Legacy Collection Packy, the Battle Damage Plesiosaurus, the Carnotaurus. I've got the Indominus Recovery Pack. You might have noticed I have a skeleton from that pack on the shelf. This is a new in-box set. There's the other Super Colossal Rex, as well as all the minis that I've acquired over the years. Up top, this is kind of the rare stuff. It's the Battle Damage Spinosaurus, which, oh my god, the number of those things that I saw on a shelf and left, I'm like, oh, it'll get clearanced out soon. It's a holiday special. It's, you know, they overstocked. Didn't happen. Now they're going for what? $200+ in box, and I was like not wanting to buy one, not wanting to buy a double for 30. So yeah, this is my Battle Damage Spinosaurus, and then of course we've got the Scutosaurus, the Postosuchus, and the Tanystropheus, which actually turned out to not be that rare at all. And then tucked back behind all that is the original Dimetrodon. You can kind of just see it peeking through there. So along the walls there, we have some other new in-box stuff, mostly just attack packs that I like and didn't want to have to put in storage, but we've also got the Grab and Growl Indoraptor, Bumpy's down there, the Extreme Damage Allosaurus, got a new in-box Therizinosaurus here, as well as the Lockwood Battle playset that never really released here in the States, and then a few new in-box Amber Collection figures, the Dimorphodon Duo and the Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor. Whew! All right, everyone, that is it, I believe. That is my collection and how it is all displayed in my room. As you can tell, there's a lot. I would go so far as to say it's gotten a bit out of control over the years, but it's been one heck of a ride tracking these down and adding them to the collection. It's also just been really interesting to see how my tastes and priorities have changed over the years. Like I said, when I first started collecting, Papo was the big name for me. Safari Limited was the other like super celebrated company in the world of collecting, but I was more attracted to Papo for the realism. Collecta and Schleich were also the other two big ones on the market, but those ones never really appealed to me all that much. But then as time went on, we started to see the likes of Rebor, and then PNSO came and went away and came back. Vitae joined the group and now seems to be gone. Eofauna came out recently. Nanmu joined the crowd, and PNSO came back and bigger than ever and are on a roll and have sort of usurped everything else as my preeminent collecting goal. While I was collecting Papo back in the day, the other thing I was really interested in was tracking down all those Kenner pieces, so that's where all that came from. But that was back when all I had to worry about was, you know, a handful of figures a year from two big companies, Papo and Safari. They do like 3 or 4 dinosaurs each that I'm like, I want that. But then the rest of the year I could just spend tracking things down. Nowadays we have these companies just releasing just non-stop. Beast of the Mesozoic has new waves coming at all times, it seems. Nanmu keeps teasing new figures. Rebor and their spasmodic release schedule hasn't stopped, and PNSO is just never gonna quit, it seems. When I was first collecting, I was like, no, I can't do all of this, and over the years I've kind of let myself go. And you know what the sad part is? This isn't even all of it. I've got like maybe a good 3 to 5 totes, maybe more, of just new in-box Jurassic stuff that I never opened and never planned to open. Oh man, I have a bit of a problem. So hopefully once I get all of this stuff put away and get a chance to kind of sit on that for a bit, I'll be able to kind of take stock of what is really important to me in this new era, this new golden era of dinosaur collecting, and go from there, rather than just, you know, seeing everything and liking everything and wanting to add everything to the collection, because that's not sustainable. As you can see, I'm kind of at capacity. Everything's just kind of all over the place. But anywho, I hope you all enjoyed seeing what all I have on my shelves. If there's anything in here that you want me to take a look at down the road, feel free to holler out. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have or take any requests you might have. I've already got like a slate of videos that I want to be doing in the coming months here, obviously for Spooktacular Toy Reviews, Nanmu November, and 12 Days of Reviews. I'm hoping to do all of that again. We'll see. Time will tell, but I wanted to go ahead and push this video out before I got into all of that. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed getting a behind the scenes look at my collection and my room. And again, like I said, if you want to see a closer look at any of these, I'd be happy to do reviews for any of these. Feel free to check my channel. I might have already done it if you just joined me recently. But other than that, thank you all very much. Hope to see you again soon.